Basically, when people ask me what I am, I always say, well, I'm an African American.
I like to call myself black because that encompasses the world, you know?
African American, black, although black Americans come in all colors.
I know that I'm of African descent, but I don't know from where. You know, there's so many countries and stuff, so.
I see myself as a Gambian and also as an African American.
I like white people to say African American, and I like black people to say black.
I'm black, you know? Like, I like Negro, but like, that was like way too, I'm too young for that.
I'm African American and have always been identified with that, although for obvious reasons, sometimes it's an issue to some people.
I'm African American.
In 2005, independent filmmakers of the African diaspora of the United States, Cuba, Canada, and Jamaica entered their movies in the competition at Fespaco. 6 films competed for the Paul Robeson Award, MacArthur Genius Award, and Emmy Award winner Stanley Nelson entered his film Sweet Honey in the Rock, a documentary about the Grammy Award-winning African-American vocal ensemble. Director Shola Lynch entered her film Chisholm 72 Unbought and Unbossed, which chronicled Congresswoman Shirley Chisholm's campaign for the presidential nomination. Actress and director Lisa Gay Hamilton entered her documentary Bia, A Black Woman Speaks. It revealed the remarkable life of the African-American actress, poet, and political activist Dia Richards. Jamaica's Trevor Rohn entered his film One Love, a Romeo and Juliet story set against the backdrop of the country's rich musical heritage. Michael Schultz, director of Car Wash, Cooley High, and Crush Groove, entered his film Woman Thou Art Loose, chronicling a woman's struggle to come to terms with her legacy of abuse and poverty. Director Rigoberto Lopez of Cuba entered his film Scent of Oak, a story of love and disillusionment set in the islands of the Caribbean in the early 19th century. They were all competing in the oldest and largest Pan-African film festival in the world. To be eligible, each of the nominated films must have previously won a recognized prize or an award at a film festival.
When Fespaco started in 1969, it was an affair between mostly African filmmakers who were interested in having a venue to showcase their works.
Now, it was initially an idea, let's get all the filmmakers together and sit down and find a forum so we can begin to promote our films and project who we are into the world with a film festival and an organization.
Lorsqu'en 1969 naissait cette idée-là de créer la Semaine du cinéma africain, on était parti du constat que les écrans africains, et en particulier les écrans ouagalais, étaient dominés par du cinéma étranger.
And in 1983, I believe, I was here at Howard University, and my colleague Haile Gerima called to say that he was invited to be part of the jury.
All of these African filmmakers were asking me, since I was in America, an African living in America, shouldn't I work on creating a concrete relationship between this festival and especially African Americans who make films outside the industry. because that was the least represented, was independent African American filmmakers.
They came back and really was resolved to mobilize people from this end to take part in that initiative and try to see in what ways we could make a contribution to push things forward.
Independent African American filmmakers who work outside of the Hollywood system have a hard time getting their films made.
The films that come out of Hollywood, you know, are comedies. And they want to see black people still being funny, you know, and those are the films that make money, you know, and you still kind of have to go outside of your community to get the money that's needed to make a film. And so I think that's just kind of, you know, where it is.
From the time that I did my first movie, which was Car Wash, in 1976, I was told, as all of us were told, there is no interest in the foreign market for African American subject matter. I knew that Hollywood was telling us a lie.
Fespaco is now where Africans and African diaspora alike can tell their stories. Fespaco is held biannually in Ouagadougou, the capital city of Burkina Faso.
Ouagadougou became the center by accident. They chose, somebody said, let's do it in Ouagadougou, and I think it was because it had to be central so everybody could show up at Ouaga and didn't have to go to Tanzania, go down to Nigeria, you know, go to Ouaga.
The first time I went to Fespaco was in 1987, I think, and the American contingent had gone for the first time, I believe, the year before. And my friend Cheryl Chisholm said, you got to do this. You got to do this. It was, you know, incredible. You got to go.
It was really a very wonderful experience, to tell you the truth, because they had prepared for our arrival. They had like a poster, a banner that said, "Welcome, African Americans."
It was really quite involving, the kind of welcome that we got at the airport. It was almost like welcoming people coming back home after a long absence, long sojourn.
Every African country has a national policy and a Pan-African policy. So they try to do something for the Pan-African, for the continent, and try to do something nationally. Well, Ouaga decided their contribution to Pan-African would be to support this festival and stimulate it and make it what it is.
It's a place where we gather to learn about each other's situation, conditions, complement, organize, and collaborate. Because when we collaborate, even the enormous burden of finance in film could be overcome.
Fespaco began in 1969, but it was the 80s when Fespaco reached out to the diaspora.
Non, on s'est retrouvés ici venant de différents États et on a dit il faut créer un prix pour la diaspora. Et on a cherché à l'époque, on connaissait peut-être commissaire Charlie Parker, on connaissait Chester Ham, Richard Wright, Langton News. Mais tous nous étions engagés, on était jeunes. Mais c'est Paul Robeson qui faisait la jonction entre le cinéma et la chanson. Et les autres, il était encore au niveau de l'Afrique le plus connu.
Ah, ben Paul Robeson, c'est quand même une figure emblématique du combat des Noirs en général.
He was just basically representing and wasn't taking no crap. And that's like very important. That's an icon to be able to do that in that time, just like, you know, Jack Johnson and everybody else who was just like, I'm gonna do what I need to do and I'm not gonna stoop down. And that's just something that needs to be remembered. That gives us strength.
Paul Robeson was just an amazing combination of athletic talent, of creative talent, and of intellectual talent.
So they named the prize the Paul Robeson Award. In 2003, no Paul Robeson Award was given. So in 2005, Professor C. Sade Turnipseed created the Paul Robeson Award Initiative, better known as PRI.
There should never be a Fespaco without the involvement of Africans in the diaspora without the filmmakers' participation. So that's what PRA does, is just make sure that that happens.
In 2005, African Americans would be a part of Fespaco. In addition to the 6 films in competition for the Paul Robeson Award, PRI also delivered 31 other films for screening and other competitions. This is a story about African diaspora who have found a way to tell their own stories.
The spirit just spoke to me and said, wow, you should do a documentary on midwives and the contribution that they have done here in America.
I didn't make the film for Hollywood. I made it for us.
It's more than a movie to me. It has a lot of healing properties in it, and it discusses issues that people don't want to discuss.
I was interested in her story because of my own arrogance as a young person. I remember hearing about her and thinking, that is the most idiotic thing on the planet. Why would you do that if you cannot win?
Basically, the story is about a college student. She has like an alcohol and ecstasy problem, but she doesn't realize how serious it has made an impact on her life.
You know, it's very different for me because a lot of the film is a real concert film. You know, we shot it with 6 cameras and, you know, steady cams and jib arms and, you know, makeup and special lights and the whole thing, which is very different. So I think, you know, it's a history film and it isn't a history film.
All Our Sons came about because the night of September 11th, like many people, I was watching the news broadcasts and trying to make sense of this terrible tragedy. All the images that I saw and all the people that were being interviewed as survivors, especially on some of the talk shows, were white. They were young and white.
So in February of 2005, PRI set out with a contingent of over 50. These were independent filmmakers making films outside of the Hollywood system, telling stories that Hollywood would never tell. They came to share their stories, and for some to compete for the highest award Africa could bestow upon a filmmaker from the diaspora, Fespaco's Paul Robeson Award. Getting to Burkina Faso is not easy. From Los Angeles, the trip takes over 18 hours. A daily 747 flies nonstop from Paris Charles de Gaulle Airport to Ouagadougou, where travelers make connections to Mali, Ivory Coast, Ghana, and elsewhere. For PRI, Ouagadougou and Fespaco were the final destination. Ouagadougou is the capital of Burkina Faso. It has a population of over 1 million. There are no major waterways, no diamonds, gold, or other mineral deposits of great value. It has no beach, and the official language is French, which may explain why so many Americans have never heard of Fespaco. What Ouagadougou, or Ouaga for short, has are its people, and as the French say, joie de vie, a joy of life. And every odd year, they have Fespaco.
I feel great. I mean, just the fact that I'm here in Burkina Faso and that my film made it to Africa, I'm just in awe. Even when I got the phone call, because actually I was coming from a speaking engagement in Connecticut, and I called on my phone, on my cell phone, to pick up my messages, to see who, actually, you know, just to pick up my messages. And I get this call, and it says, "Hello, my name is Sade from Turnip Seed, and I'm calling to let you know that your film has been selected as Best Pop for the Paul." I was trying not to scream on the train. I was trying not to get like stupid on the train, right? So I was like, oh my shit, oh my god, oh my god.
The Hotel Independence is the unofficial headquarters for Fespaco and has been since 1969. It is the festival's heart and soul. If it happens here. The festival wouldn't begin for a few days, but filmmakers were already arriving from all over the world. Professor Turnipseed assisted Cuban filmmaker Rigoberto Lopez through the registration process. Rigoberto had made a beautiful interracial love story set on a coffee plantation in 19th century Cuba. It was the favorite to win the Paul Robeson Award.
I'm going now.
language for Rigoberto and other members of the initiative was going to present problems.
I got to learn some French, but maybe that's a benefit. That's a good thing that I don't know too much French.
And you deluded yourself into believing this, right?
I'm trying to. Reverse psychology.
Okay, well, if it works for you, okay.
Yeah.
There is no advantage to not being able to speak the language in the country that you happen to be in at the time.
Because, you know.
Yes.
No French. No French.
Donc vous êtes de quel pays?
Des États-Unis.
Let's see. We're gonna do this. No parle français. Parle anglais.
Yeah. Translator? Translator? You know translator? Translator?
Non, prisonnier.
Okay. Speak the Subtitle it?
Non, je sais. Moi, j'ai lu.
C'était drogue?
Drogue. Des précis drogue.
Drugs?
Former Fespaco Grand Prize winner Gaston Cabaret offered his film facility, Imagine, to Pride as the permanent home of the Paul Robeson Award initiative. The Imagine facility stood several stories high and had a panoramic view of Ouagadougou. Gaston had realized his dream, a school where Africans would teach themselves the art of filmmaking. Gaston's hospitality was not professional, it was personal, where Fespaco warmly welcomed the diaspora as filmmakers. Gaston Cabaret and Imagine recognized the diaspora as brothers, as lost family members.
I am, of course, emotionally more related to the diaspora because I see that there is a part of something that we haven't yet discovered, you know. I think we have a lot to tell to each other, speaking as an African to the diaspora people. And I know that from this joint venture, we are going to see movies that we have never seen in the world.
I wish you a very, very pleasant evening, and please enjoy yourself and vive l'imagination et vive les imaginateurs. Merci.
Gaston's welcoming party at Imagine was a chance for Pride filmmakers to interact with their African counterparts.
Get ready to make another film. Maybe it'll come next year after next.
Rigoberto talked about the black heroine in his film Fespaco.
White hero, you know, something like that. But in this case, she's a very distinguished and intelligent and smart.
Lisa Gay Hamilton enjoyed the company of the children from the neighborhood. The next morning at the Hotel Independence, filmmakers prepared for Fespaco.
A typical day for me was you get up, you go to breakfast, but on your way to breakfast, you see who's at the pool. So you pass the pool, you go up, you get your breakfast, and then you try to mingle and socialize, with people who maybe may know, maybe not know, and say, ooh, there's so-and-so and so-and-so. And that hotel was the hotel to be at if you wanted to be interviewed or, by the press and meet people and really have a good time. And there were a lot of great vendors there too.
Directly across the street, vendors also got ready for the festival.
Elle doit le faire la monnaie avant de venir. Elle doit le faire du changer avant.
10,000?
Voilà, dernier las. Sinon ça reste un même, c'était 3. Ça c'est la marmaja. Just
8,000.
Your first. Just your first.
This is the real Chanel number 5, right?
I don't know.
Because I know my mom likes this.
Because the plastic bag can be put. You can put it, yes.
Yeah. Oh, no.
This is sometimes we can put the plastic, okay? And then inside it maybe they can have bottles, many bottles.
And they fill it up with anything.
Yes, with some water. They just add some water and then.
The internationally famous singer from Mali, Salif Keita, officially opened the festival. The horse has special significance in Burkina Faso and was prominently featured in the opening ceremonies. The highest award given at Fespaco is the Étoile d'Or de Yaninga, named for the stallion of the warrior princess. Yaninga was a princess in the 12th century in the Mosi Dakomba kingdom. She was a fierce warrior and considered by all to be the mother of the Mosi tribe.
De cinéma. Le combat est loin d'être gagné, mais des victoires, nous en marquons tous les jours. Aussi, soyons fiers de nos acquis et donnons-nous la main pour affronter les défis à venir. Bon festival à tous, je vous remercie.
And the 2005 Fespaco Festival had begun. Film is like a deity in Burkina Faso. It has given life, identity, and pride to the people of Ouagadougou and throughout Burkina Faso. So before every Fespaco, special thanks, a libation is made at the Place des Cinéastes, or in English, the Plaza of the Filmmaker. Part of the libation ritual was a remembrance of filmmakers past.
He's saying that at the beginning, we didn't have this ritual, we were not turning around the square, so we improved the way that we are celebrating this particular moment during Fespaco. And he hopes that in the coming years, it will not be only one cycle, one ring, but many rings, each behind the others, to say that our number is increasing and we keep kind of faith, to those who are already dead, but keep them in our minds, in our hearts, and when we are shooting, we shoot also to witness that we continue the struggle they have, they have done before us. So it's very important to Semben Westman.
After the libations, the screenings began. Only filmmakers with African passports could compete for the festival's grand prize. On this point, there was a debate.
We felt all the competition should be open to all Africans, because just because Charles Burnett is an African American, it doesn't make him, or Julie Dash, it doesn't make them better off than an African filmmaker. They are in the same condition inside of a highly developed country.
The continental Africans really have this perception that because we live here, that we have access to all the Hollywood money. They just see the Hollywood product and they think we're all, Denzel or Singleton and all that. And we're not. Most of us aren't that. We're struggling.
Over 180 African films were due to screen, and 20 of those films were competing for the Golden Stallion. There was the documentary, The Colonial Misunderstanding, by Jean-Marie Thénault, an account of Germany's time as a colonial master in Africa.
They went across the seas to bring happiness to other people, not really knowing, questioning what this happiness was all about, and not even questioning if the people they were going to meet there needed this kind of happiness. Because they had the word of God for them, it was so great, they just went and imposed it on the rest of the planet. And by imposing it, they were also imposing the European culture. So my film is an exploration of this relationship between Africa and Europe through the work of these people, who were not all bad people, but in the course of what they were doing, they managed to achieve some horrible things.
There was the comedy, Ouagadougou, by Gani Kouyaté.
Ouagadougou est une comédie urbaine qui parle des problèmes des jeunes et aussi de leur possibilité de se débrouiller dans la cité, malgré les soucis, qui restent toujours positifs, optimistes et qui finissent par gagner. Donc c'est un film heureux, happy end, et ça c'est quelque chose d'assez rare dans notre cinématographie. Parce que si vous voyez la tendance générale de notre cinématographie, on est quand même toujours en train de brasser les problèmes et de brasser la souffrance. Et c'est vrai que de temps en temps, c'est bien de respirer et d'être positif et optimiste.
Also competing was Zulu Love Letter, a post-apartheid story from South Africa's Ramadan Suleiman. The Black Room, the story of one man's struggle when his political past catches up with him. The Night of Truth, a tense tale set in an imaginary country in Africa. Drama about a hard-drinking journalist who had his conscience pricked when he reports on the ruthless prison system in Johannesburg. O Heroa by Zizi Gamboa, a story about a soldier's return from the Angolan Civil War. And Tenzuma from Burkina Faso director Cheikh Tidane Seck, the comedy of a retired soldier trying to get his pension. Every one of these films was told from the heart with great care and skill. In the diaspora category, the same could be said of the 6 films competing for the Paul Robeson Award. The screenings had begun.
That theater was jam-packed, from people laying on top of the stage to the back of the door. And I was like, oh my God, this is unbelievable, because that would not have happened in America at all.
One of the first Paul Robeson screenings was Sent a Vote by Rigoberto Lopez.
The film was made in 35 millimeters and Dolby Sound 5.1, but we will screen the film here, show the film here in Betacam I hope that you don't have this with the sound of the film.
The projection of the film suddenly began to stop and start. The sound was muted.
When I arrived here to this room for the screening, first one, the technician before don't check the beta hands, okay, the projection, technical questions. And after, they had discovered the Betacam machine is broken. It is broken.
Fortunately, Fespaco had a DVD machine standing by. Center Vogue screened more smoothly, and at the end received a standing ovation from the sold-out house. Fespaco is one of the great film festivals of the world. At a film festival, anything can happen. That's what makes them exciting. Anything can happen, and it almost always does.
Bia always said to me to say thank you to adversity. There is a lesson to be learned, and that's why it is there. You may not feel good about it. It may make you sad and make you angry. You might be disappointed, but it's there for a reason. So take it in.
It is right that I, a woman black, should speak of white womanhood.
Husbands, my fathers, my brothers, my sons.
Lisa Gay Hamilton's screening of Bia did not go well either. It was the same problem as Center Vogue. If the Pride filmmakers were thinking it was happening to only them, they were wrong.
I'm mad like hell. I am mad like hell. And I will tell it to whoever can hear me. I'm not here for any prize. I'm just here to take my message out. And they could not do that, and I'm mad like hell.
Sharif Keita was an African filmmaker from Mali who was teaching in the United States. His film, Oberlin and Nanda, The Life and Times of John Dubé, tells the story of a South African man who attends Oberlin College in the 1800s. The Fespaco organizers now knew the problem was digital technology.
I'm mad like hell.
Fespaco and film festivals around the world are in a state of transition. A 35mm print is the same all around the world and has been the standard for over half a century. But digital video is the format of the future. There's PAL for Europe and Africa, NTSC for the Americas, and within both there's Betacam, Mini DV, DV, DV Cam, High Def, Standard Def, and it continues. The video manufacturers should get their act together. There are filmmakers out there who passionately want to tell their stories.
Somebody saved us by transcoding the tape with local, technology here. They transcoded the tape and put it on beta pad. So the second show went very well. The people were there. Some of the people who came the first time who were disappointed were able to make it. People were there, see. And so I'm very pleased.
Lisa Gay Hamilton had discovered that Bia would only screen once. There was no additional theater screening available. To make matters worse, Lisa Gay had contracted a stomach virus and was bedridden, panicked, and discouraged.
technical problems happen, and people totally understand that. But the fact that it wasn't scheduled for a second screening then made it a real problem, because now you have no other opportunity to see this piece. So what do you do? What do you do? So either you sacrifice and jeopardize the quality and the aesthetics of the film, or you just cancel it all the way out. And canceling was not an option.
Fortunately for Lisa, her sister Heidi had accompanied her to Fespaco.
So here, every day at 2 o'clock, there is a film series that is independent of Fespaco, and it's run by, the man's name is Perron. And it's a French Institute sponsored film series, and they've rented this space every day for the duration of Fespaco. So Lisa Gay Hamilton was trying to get her film, Bia, in this space, and has been negotiating that for about 2 days now. And hopefully we're going to meet with Perron today to confirm whether or not we have the space. And if we do have the space, we have to take our Betacam film and have it transferred into a medium that's compatible with the equipment used here in Burkina Faso. So that's what we're trying to do.
She wanted it done, and she wanted it done right. It was all in tribute to Bia. It was in the spirit of Bia. She was fighting this big fight, this huge fight for Bia and for Bia's sake, because this is Bia's first time in Africa. And that was so important to Lisa, to make sure that Bia was seen and felt and known. So she was not willing to compromise, period.
Lisa Gay remained bedridden. Her sister Heidi, although not a filmmaker, proved to be an excellent stand-in.
I mean, the initial program. So we have 2 movies. We cannot just, put it at 2. So it's after 2 screening, yeah, as a surprise. Okay? Yeah.
So then I could advertise to come at like 3. I could tell people to, we can tell people to come at 3 and they'll still see your films. We said 2 o'clock.
Absolutely, yeah.
Then they would see your films.
Ouais. Badou. Oui, bonjour, c'est à vous.
So the tape is in somebody else's room.
Ouais, est-ce que tu as le numéro?
Okay, good. So I will take this, and what I need to get is to put it into a DVD.
Okay, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And does it have to be PAL, or what is all that?
Yeah, no, it's not a problem. PAL is okay, yeah.
Is any kind of, or TS,
yeah.
just a DVD
yeah.
is the bottom line. Okay.
All prior screenings for the public were complete. If Lisa Gay accomplished the second screening, it would be on her own and completely outside of the auspices of Fespaco. The decision of who would win the Paul Robeson Award was now in the hands of the judges. Or was it? Rigoberta wasn't so sure.
Finally, the jury didn't show my film. 2 members of the jury told me 2 times they never saw my film because the VHS, one VHS in their hands, went with very bad quality. I repeat, VHS in their hands has a very bad quality.
The festival was now abuzz with who was the favorite to win the Golden Stallion. Dane Kouyate's screening of Ouagadougou was beyond standing room only.
I couldn't even get in Ouagadougou because Ouagadougou was packed. So I was with a friend of mine. I said, okay, come on, let's run up to the projector room and look at the film. It was like, wow, this is what it's like, just to see the different way of what is allowed and how many people just enjoyed going to see films.
There was a feeling that maybe this year, a comedy like Ouagadougou could win the Golden Stallion. However, Pamela Novete Morimbe had given a brilliant performance as a disillusioned post-apartheid reporter in South Africa's Zulu Love Letter. Ohiroi from Angola and Drum from South Africa were also picking up steam toward winning the Golden Stallion. Even though the competition was intense, Fespaco isn't Cannes, and it never was intended to be.
Cannes, c'est un festival professionnel.
n'ont accès aux salles que les professionnels. Ouagadougou a la particularité d'être à la fois professionnel et populaire. C'est très important. Parce que nous avons envie et nous avons besoin que le public ait accès aux salles, qu'il aille voir les films. Nous avons envie que le public ait accès aux professionnels, qu'il puisse les rencontrer, discuter avec eux directement.
Dominique Hurd had to get ready for the president's party that night. There were a few things that had to be taken care of.
Okay. These deodorants up in here is mad expensive. Excuse me. You have any deodorant?
Yeah.
I just need a deodorant. I only have 2,000. Is there any here for 2,000?
2,000, comment it is? 500.
Huh?
500, 2,500.
2,500. You don't have anything for 2,500?
No.
Can I get this one? Right here?
You can get.
Oh, it's open? Okay, cool. 24 hours. Dang, that's $5 for some deodorant. Can I get this one? Can I get this one instead? Oh my goodness. I need to go to the bathroom. I don't think it's appropriate to be sprayed out here. Hey, everybody.
I don't think anybody really is going to care.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
And then it'll be done. And then we'll go off on our own.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah, no.
I gotta do. Gotta do.
We'll screen you.
We'll do.
Okay.
Okay. Woo!
She smells so good.
President Compaoré had arranged a passionate welcome for the guests of this year's Fespaco. President Compaoré had planned something else just as special. A Lifetime Achievement Award for Ousmane Sembène, Africa's first great filmmaker to gain international recognition.
You know, I went to film school in New York City. We formed this coalition of African-American filmmakers from all the film schools in New York, and the first thing we did was we put on a film festival of Sembène's films, and it was just incredible, you know. I mean, I learned a real lesson from that because we had no money to advertise. the film festival, but we did everything we possibly could for free. So we went on, public radio, free radio. We made some flyers up and we went all around town and posted them up on the billboards. We went to all the film schools and put flyers in all the film schools, all the art house theaters. We did everything. And the first day of the festival, it was a blizzard. It was a blizzard, and I mean, it was a blizzard, and we still sold out. We sold out.
Directing over a dozen films since the early 60s, Sembène had inspired filmmakers around the world with films that are poetic, powerful, and provocative. Films that often challenge Western and even African status quos. His 2004 masterpiece, Moulade, had won awards from Cannes to Toronto to New York and will receive a special jury prize this year from Fespaco. Moulade is a powerful story directed against the still common African practice of female circumcision. It is a story that's rarely been told from an African perspective and never been told so powerfully. The custom of welcoming the diaspora began with former President Thomas Sankara. In 1984, Thomas Sankara led a revolution that took control of Upper Volta. He combined the languages of the two dominant tribes of Upper Volta to create a new name for the country, Burkina Faso, which means land of the upright men.
He was this very handsome, very energetic, very exciting leader, President Young, one of the youngest leaders in Africa. And so we all show up at the palace and we're sitting around and he comes out in his military uniform and he says, wherever you are, whenever you are, you know that we will always have a place set for you here. And then he starts to talk about film and he said, film is a very powerful thing. He said, we were at war with Mali last year, but last night, Mali won the grand prize. He said, this is the power of film. This is what film can do.
The Paul Robeson idea came about due to the climate of his philosophical, cultural position, because he understood the power of culture and making culture part of the people's activity.
He said the sentence that I always remember, that cinema should serve to tell 24 times per second the truth,
Thomas Sankara is fondly remembered by the American diaspora.
But in my opinion, if one of the 6 films the jury didn't show, that's a big problem. And in my opinion, the first responsibility is on the person who coordinates the competition and all the activities of the Paul Robeson Award initiative.
And so he's feeling like I'm not doing my job because he's not getting the answer that he wants.
2 members of the jury told me 2 times they never saw my film.
He asked the wrong people, basically. And because he was asking film judges, did they see his film? And they said no. But he didn't ask the video judges, who were the ones who were judging all of those films from the Paul Robeson Award category.
And I asked her, please, I think I need you have in a situation to call somebody, the jury, to see my film before that decision.
I explained to him that, first of all, it's not my festival. And secondly, we've done our part in this festival. We brought all of the films over and handed them over to Fespaco.
When I comment this with Miss Sade, she really don't do nothing. You didn't do nothing.
I did everything I could. I bent over backwards for this man. I really went and got the information that he needed, but it wasn't what he wanted. So he just needed to talk to a judge who had seen his film. That's not appropriate for a judge to discuss how they felt about an individual film that's in competition before the results have been revealed. That's just inappropriate conversation. You don't do that.
The United States representative to Fespaco and the Paul Robeson Award initiative. So, Professor Currency.
Thank you, Tom. Welcome. Bonsoir.
I awarded the prize to Dominique.
Dominique Hurd is representing her film, Long Gone, and it will be accepting the award.
Oh, this is amazing.
The story is about a college student. Basically, after a confrontation, there's a tragedy at the end. Like, there was a way out, but she didn't take the way out. If you consider yourself to be a true friend to anybody, you should be more aggressive in letting them know they could come to you when they want somebody who's not gonna put on a facade or try to use them just so they can feel good.
Yes, I will be back. You'll hear more.
Meanwhile, Rigoberto could not convince the judge to look at his film. Time was running out for Scent of Oak. Lisa Gay Hamilton was finally well enough to get out of bed. Lisa was determined to get a second screening, and her sister Heidi was determined to help her. All Lisa cared about was another screening so the film goers in Burkina Faso could see the film as it was meant to be screened.
So this is the distribution center. And in here, you can sell your film. You can find a distributor who'd be interested in distributing the film for you. So we're looking now for the Sidonia, which we're probably not pronouncing right, is the entity that could do all of the transformation for us.
Okay.
A DVD?
DVD.
Can we?
Yeah.
2? By when? What time? By my screening's at 2. Can I get in the morning?
Si, quand on serait là, elle vient chercher.
Okay, bon, maintenant, he said tomorrow, 8 o'clock.
In the morning as early as 8?
Yeah, we finish.
And you will be here? Now, ask him, will I be able to take the DVD and play it on one of these machines to make sure it works?
Et puis vérifier devant.
Oui.
Voilà, ok.
Okay, may I ask him how much?
Voilà, combien?
How much?
Lisa, and one would have to say Bia, were finally feeling better about coming to Africa.
Je pense que nous avons besoin de la diaspora et la diaspora a besoin de nous. Parce que je pense que nous défendons les mêmes identités. Nous défendons les mêmes identités et pour les défendre, c'est toujours mieux d'être ensemble. Il faut que nous puissions montrer ici en Afrique le travail de la diaspora, mais aussi montrer dans la diaspora le travail qui se fait ici. Et c'est cette conscience que nous devons avoir, que nous sommes une entité dispersée dans les autres continents et qu'on a besoin de se mettre ensemble. On a besoin. Et si on n'est pas ensemble, ce n'est pas une force. Toute force a besoin d'être ensemble, de former une boule, et que c'est cette boule qui peut rouler. Donc il faut créer un pont. Et ce sont les artistes qui peuvent créer ça. Il faut qu'il y ait plus de relations. Et c'est le travail des artistes.
Nous avons un grand problème de communication entre nous et la diaspora. Mais c'est un problème qui date de la colonisation. Parce que depuis avant les indépendances, les panafricanistes ont voulu créer un effacer l'anglais et le français pour créer une Afrique, qui est une. Mais les colons, ils ont divisé l'Afrique en francophones, en anglophones. Et nous sommes dans ce schéma-là jusqu'à présent.
Absolutely, you have to introduce your own.
Hi, my name is Lisa Gay Hamilton, and I am the writer and director of the documentary you're about to be called Via, A Black Woman Speaks.
Wait, yeah,
He said that.
Yeah.
And I really thank all of you for staying here. Some of you have been here since 2 o'clock and have hung in there just to see my film, and I thank you for that. And I'm asking your forgiveness in that this is my first Fespaco experience, and I'm learning all sorts of things.
C'est son premier Fespaco. Elle vous demande de pardonner parce qu'elle apprend plein de choses. En fait, c'est une expérience. Et en effet, tout ne s'est pas toujours bien passé, je crois.
And so, unfortunately, my film this afternoon, the sound is not of quality at all. We really thank you for being here, and I'm really glad you stayed and enjoyed the film.
The circumstances of my life as a citizen of Mississippi is enough to make anybody right. The opposite of all is nothing. The result is different.
I did have some ups and downs. Really, the commitment was wanting as many of the French-speaking people to see the film as much as possible, and the first screening wasn't as successful, and worked really very hard to make another screening happen, and we have been successful. You know, I think we did the best we could given the circumstances.
The day of the closing ceremony had arrived. It was learned during the festival that due to the severe crowd at the opening ceremony, that several people had been trampled. This image had been widely reported in the European press. President Compaoré would take tighter control of the images from the closing ceremony. It was well attended, but by invitation only. Once the president was seated, the closing ceremony officially began.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen.
Mesdames et messieurs les professionnels du cinéma et de l'audiovisuel.
Ladies and gentlemen, professionals of cinema and audiovisual.
The week of the festival had been hot and grueling. The hundreds of films screened were now reduced to a few. First, the talent and technical prizes were awarded. Now it was time for the étalon. Le Cham Noir from Morocco. A Naoui de la Vérité from Burkina Faso. Drum from South Africa. Tasuma from Burkina Faso. Zulu Love Letter from South Africa. O Heroe from Angola. Ouagadougou from Burkina Faso. The Colonial Misunderstanding from Cameroon, and 12 others. First, the bronze étalon was awarded to Daniel Sanu Kola for his film Tasuma. It told the story of a Senegalese rifleman in search of his retirement pension. Next came the silver étalon for Morocco's Le Cham Noir. Hassan bin Jaloum fashioned a film based on a true story telling of one man's struggle when his political past catches up with him. Now came the time for the gold étalon. For the first time ever, the winning film was from South Africa. It was a film starring American actor Taye Diggs. a story about apartheid in the early 50s. South African director Zola Masiko accepted his prize.
Fellow African filmmakers,
Chers frères et
brothers and sisters,
chers frères et sœurs,
ladies and gentlemen,
mesdames et messieurs,
this is a tremendous honor.
Even though this was a film from South Africa, this was significant, even historic.
It's an indication
ceci est une indication
and an honor
et un honneur
to South African cinema.
au cinéma sud-africain.
This is the first time
C'est la première fois
that this
que ceci,
most wonderful, most precious
c'est très merveilleux, c'est très précieux,
award of African cinema
c'est très précieuse récompense du cinéma africain
has gone south of the Sahara.
est allée au sud.
C'est sfide. Ti faccio le sfide.
Coming up was the Paul Robeson Award. Early on, Rigoberto's beautiful scent of oak had to be considered the frontrunner. During the week of Fespaco, other films had emerged as potential award favorites. Stanley Nelson's Sweet Honey in the Rock.
Voices in Sweet Honey in the Rock. This is really based in an African aesthetic.
And Michael Schultz's Woman Thou Art Loosed.
Somebody thank the Lord right now.
Then there was the crowd favorite, One Love by Trevor Rome, to challenge Rigoberto's epic Scent of Oak.
Explain this to me, Papa.
Charlotte Lynch's Chisholm 72 Unbought, Unbossed had its supporters as well.
I stand before you today as a candidate for the Democratic nomination for the presidency of the United States of America.
And the Paul Robeson Award goes to Lisa Gay Hamilton for her film Bia, A Black Woman Speaks. For Pride, Fespaco 2005 had ended, but the emotions carried on.
The fireworks, I know they were for everybody, but Bia was speaking to me. I was just tearing when the fireworks were going up because I just said, "Oh my God, Bia, can you believe this?" And it just released me.
I was speechless.
I mean, I didn't curtsy to the president. I didn't mention Bia. I didn't mention Paul Robeson. I didn't mention anyone. I didn't have an acceptance speech. It didn't occur to me. And so even just looking out, I was really sort of, out of it. But I look back on it and wish that I wasn't so out of it at the time. But grateful to have been there and grateful to have had that experience. And yes, grateful to look out at a sea of folks that I come from. And given what the film is about and given who Bia was and given who Paul Robeson was, it was very appropriate and very fitting to be there, number one. But to win was a joyous experience.
And what about Rigoberto and Centavogue?
I'm not making questions about the award, okay? I respect the decision and I respect the work of the ladies who made that excellent documentary films, the award. You understand me? It's clear? I'm sorry, I apologize because in this moment, my English is so bad, all right? But I suppose you understand me. Yes?
And the reunion between the African diaspora and Fespaco.
One of the nicest things about the trip was the drummers at the President's Palace. To see that and to feel that under the stars, I felt comforted. And so in that sense, I think that kind of stuff is in you anyway. I think as an African American, I think the rhythm is really in you.
This is only the early beginning of something, and we have all of us to contribute. But I hope that in 50 years, when probably most of us will not be there, and the youngest ones will be there to witness. But I hope really that we are going to do something very great together.
passer le commissaire déjà presse depuis Ouaga. Attention, messager pacifique, attaqué Bamoni. On y va.
Développer, développer, à progresser. Développer, développer, à progresser. Burkina Faso, tuntuma mema la betenga. Burkina Faso, tun saka tumunje kuima. Dino, mana. Poliga.
Yebi sana ibane kolela ezangi bana vérité. Ton zangi ba sosobate, c'est pour vous que j'ai pris mon micro frère et burkinabé. Alors si tu aimes vraiment le Burkina Faso, mes frères, j'ai dit va lever la main. Mouvement ya bizarre, yezongi na pelengasa. Dino DJ bana rossignol, le Burkina Faso partout c'est moi. Ezongi na kolo kolo, n'est-ce pas aussi DJ? Allons-y, sous le gris.
Oxygéniser la pensée qu'il est toujours les vents. Maman, regardez Ouagadougou 2000, regardez Fespaco. Allons-y aussi à haut. Aujourd'hui, projet Zaka. Ah oui, LCNC, Ensemble national de la culture, toujours les vents. Tout ça, c'est le Burkina Faso. Tout ça, qui va les goyer, mais sans en vérité. Développement obligé, Dino obligé attaquer à tous les lits.
Ezongi bandeko, on a dit Burkina Faso, pays des hommes intègres, ayant des bras valides. Donc on va travailler, j'ai dit travailler, tous les gars n'ont travaillé. Allez, Carrasco DJ, attaquez. Ah ouais, c'est vrai quoi. Nakoba Kobanga na Burkinabé balobité grave. N'est-ce pas le grand mascotte Alpha O, la grande famille. On y va. Na pese kali na